Well, let me tell you a story. There was this competition. There was this huge pole going up very, very high, and there was this clan of frogs, and they had to get to the top of the pole. And as they started this race, everybody was there, the crowd ready, cheering them on. And the frogs went, and they climbed, and they climbed. And the people were starting to say, it's too high. They will never make it. Oh, he's falling. Oh, and they're not going to make it. So eventually, all the frogs, some of them start dropping off. Some of them kept going, kept going. The people again, cheering, helping, and then saying, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, they're not going to make it. And eventually, it just goes, and one little frog keeps on going, and makes it to the very, very tippy top. And the crowd goes berserk. The ultimate question. And they come and they say, Froggy, Froggy. And Froggy doesn't respond. Froggy, Froggy. He doesn't respond. Because you see, the moral of the story is this. He was deaf. Because he didn't hear the roar of the crowd that says, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. So what's the moral of the story? Don't believe it when people start telling you can't make it. Because you can. Because if you just realize that sometimes you have to shut your ears off and not listen to other people, that you can actually make it. So tonight I want to talk on, do you want to be rich or do you want wealth? So it's like a teeter-totter, as the Americans would say, or a balanced beam we say here in South Africa. And that is, do you want to be rich or do you want wealth? Let's look at it. What does it mean to be rich? The first question people ask me in terms of money is, what motivates more, money or love? Obvious answer, money. Okay, let me give you an illustration. Let's say that I had a balanced beam, or take it at a single railway track. And I basically was walking on the railway track here, and I said to myself, okay, can anybody here come and duplicate what I do for 20 bucks? Anybody? Come on, guys, you should be entrepreneurs. Easy. All right, now you do it, everybody applauds, I'll give you 20 bucks. Well, maybe I would have coerced you into 200 bucks. I might have had to push you to that level. But now I say to you, let's do the same, but I'm now going to elevate that up to 50 stories high between two buildings. Will you walk across for 200 bucks? Answer, forget it, buddy. Okay, what motivates more, money or love? But what I'm telling you this time is that hanging over here, I have your 5-year-old hanging by the ankles. What will you do? You'll run across, wouldn't you? That's exactly what you would do. Because love is more powerful than money. I do understand. If it was your teenager, you would have said, drop him, please drop him. I understand that. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. 4 married children, and by the end of December, God willing, we will have 7 grandchildren. 5 now, 1 due next month, and 7 by December. Blessed. So when it comes to richness, what does the R stand for? I think the R stands for regal. With richness comes this regality that says there's a sense of royalty. There's a sense of, hold on, I feel great about having money. It's great to be rich, and there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, there's nothing wrong to have a lot of money. It's what you do with the money that counts. But how you handle yourself will also play a vital role. Because you can be rich, but you also can have the same R can turn into an R for a rhino mentality. Have you seen some rich people? That's like really a bull in a china shop. Or rhino, they see a spark of light. What does a rhino do? Rush over and kill it. Well, some rich people do that. But I want to encourage you, rich is not necessarily bad. And you'll read in Good's book, in Triog, where it says, rich man, rich mind, because of the rich mind. So you want to say to yourself, yes, carry yourself, being regal, and there's nothing wrong with that. But watch out for that rhino mentality that takes you back. Then the I think the I stands for inspiring. I think any person that you look at that has done well in finances, they're inspiring. Somehow they walk with a sense of confidence. They walk that says, it is great to be able to serve others because I can inspire the world. Because how you use that in terms of your funding, that's what makes a difference. Because you inspire others. But sadly, some people become rich because of integrous poverty. They don't have integrity. There's a poverty in them that says, I will do whatever it takes. I will do the deal, I will wheel, I will deal, I will get my money. But that's not necessarily what you and I want. So that is what will pull you away from being inspirational. You and I want to inspire people. And that's what we take and vortex them into a spiral that goes upwards that says, do something with what you have. I get to the sea. I think if you look at people like Donald Trump, you look at Branson, those are people that are on sea for a chartered course. They know where they're going. Imagine having a dartboard there on the side, and I want to throw darts, and we're not going for the bull. Pretty boring, wouldn't it be? You know what some people do? They aim, basically, even with archery, they shoot the arrow, and then they go and they paint the bullseye. Well, that's called cheating. But you see, a person who has learned what the riches of life are, he will realize that he has to have a target. You have to be chartered on a course, going somewhere. In business, we call that having a goal. Do you have a goal? Do you know where you're going? Do you know what you want? It's time that you and I realize that if you don't wake up knowing what you want to achieve that day, you will be unproductive. I read a book by Timothy Ferriss called The 4-Hour Work Week. Man, young man, 29 years of age. He works 4 hours a week. Now that, to me, is being rich. Because he basically can decide what he does with his time. But you know what he does? Every day he says, what are the 2 things that I will do today that's going to bring income? What are the 2 things I must do today to bring income? Imagine that you challenge yourself. Now that's being on a chartered course. That's saying you know exactly where you want to go, and you then look at what vehicle you want to use to get where you want to be. Pretty much, if it's by land, it's going to be by vehicle. If it's by sea, it's going to be by boat. So you will choose the vehicle that you utilize to get there. Have a chartered course. And then the H. Well, surely, if you're rich, you'll have a sense of being happy. Because you feel fulfilled. The happiness that comes with that is because there's a moment that says, I have the fulfillment that goes along with that. But I want to warn you, happy can be happy, in brackets. I mean, it's more like having hotel fatigue, if you want to turn that H into that. It's more like being homesick sometimes. Guys, with that territory goes a lot of choices to be made. And sometimes you find that you have all the money in the world. I've never heard a guy in his deathbed say, if only I spent a little bit more time at the office. Just a little bit more time. They always say, if only I spend more time with my family. So I want to say to you, if you truly want to be rich, if you want to go for this happiness, what you want to do is really be truly happy because you discovered to be rich is good. But that's this side of the balance beam. What about bringing it to this level? Do you want to be rich or do you want to have wealth? Well, I think wealth is the better way to go, possibly. But you see, you and I have to come to a place where you make a choice. It's not bad to be rich. That's great. Just be responsible with the riches that you've been given. It's a gift, by the way. Having money is a gift. Make sure that you use it. Many times we go to people who afford them a gift and say, here's something for you. And they don't receive it. It's never a gift until people receive it and embrace it. So when you talk about wealth, the W, I like acronyms. The W says, who are you? Every single person here, you've got strengths. And I trust that you know who you are. You've heard about the disc analysis. You've heard about words in the marketplace that says somebody is a choleric or a sanguine or a phlegmatic or melancholy. But the truth is, a lot of people have taken that into head knowledge and they haven't made it part of their lives. What you and I want to do is to make that reality. When I speak about a choleric, I speak about a person with drive. That's the kind of guy, you don't have to ask him to get out of bed. He's out of bed and it's like, man, he had oats and pronutro. He is just with it. I can just see his wife say, just slow down, please. I'm not awake yet. But that person who just has a natural drive, has got an energy, because you know how they rest? They rest by doing things. That's something that they do. Then you have your sanguine, or we call that a high I, or an influencer. A person that has like the knack to influence other people. They can't help it. When they speak, people stop, they turn, they listen. It just goes with them. They've got this influence over people that makes that huge difference. Then we come to our S's. Those are the people, or the phlegmatics. They support us. The S stands for being supportive. Wonderful. wonderful to have a person that is so much in support that helps you and I. And then we have lastly the C for conscientiousness. A hard-working person. But these people are normally critical analysts. Now look at the age group here, and maybe I'm going to take it back to a time in age that you start understanding. Remember the 60s? Do you remember the record, Leader of the Pack? Look out, look out, look out. Boom, boom, leader of the pack. I see you can recognize that. Oh, good, yeah, I see that. Now, can you remember? I'll give you the 4 S's. There was Slade. Now, Slade was in charge. When Slade spoke, people listened. Slade was the leader. Because you see, he had a baseball bat. And you don't want to mess with Slade. Oh, no, you don't want to do that. When Slade just said, ladies and gentlemen, everybody said, the boss is speaking. You see, that's the same person. That's a choleric. Now, because I'm not speaking about that era, everybody's starting to understand it. That was Slade. But then there's the next guy, Sleek. He had the Bovril, the Brill cream. I call it Bovril. And then what he would do is he would look the part. Because you see, he was the man who was always well-dressed, branded. He'd like to show you, check the brand, okay? Because old Sleek, he knew everybody. Person of influence. And when Slade said, hey, Sleek, yes, sir, he was there. And he says, don't worry, leave it at me. Because Sleek knew all the moves. And he knew how to get to people, what to say, what to do, and he really just loved being with people. But then we had the next guy, the supporter guy. I call that Spud. Spud, I just see him there sitting down his Harley. And you know what, if anybody wanted to know anything about anything, the bikes, the parts, they go to old Spud. Hey, Spud. Yeah. Can I ask you this question? Of course. I mean, they were just there. And old Spud was one of those guys that he knew relationship. Because you know what? He asked questions. Because old Spud was a relationship guy. He knew when you felt sick. He knew when your bike wasn't performing. He knew when you needed help. And you know what? You knew you can go and talk to Spud anytime. That's what you want to do. But hey, the high melancholy, I call him Slash. You know what? When Slade wants to get some of the bucks in, there's only one person he asks. He tells Sleek, can you just make some noise? And can you tell Slash that I need some bucks? And I want to tell you, you don't want to get to Slash. Because you'll pay up front. Please don't do it. I promise you, I'm going to pay it this week. I'm going to pay it this week. I can just see those times. Okay? So there we basically had Slade and Sleek and Spud and Slash. Well, that just gives you a bit of a feel. Did you know, and I'm asking the question, do you know who you are? That the way that you stand, the car that you drive, will give away to people who you are. Now, if you want to be effective in whatever business you run, you need to know who you are. For instance, the choleric, the Slades, or the high drivers, they like to stand with the one hand in the pocket like I'm standing now, and they lean forward when they communicate with you. It's, did you get this? Serious. And by the way, their key that really makes them respond, get to the bottom line. Don't waste my time. I don't want to hear stories. What was that? Okay, let's move on. You know those kind of people? I can see you smiling. You recognize your boss. Because you see, that's a typical choleric. One hand in the pocket, forward, and they take command. And by the way, they love taking charge. But then we go to the next guy, the sanguine. How do they stand? Well, they take a little bit more space. They put both hands in the pockets. And they like to sort of go forward on their toes, elbows out, smiling all the time. And you know, they love talking, especially about themselves. Okay? Did you know what I did last week? They'll tell you about their great results. But these are the people that everybody loves to be with. Because why? They are people of influence. But this is typically who they are, okay? They take a lot of space. Oh, sorry. You asked me, what about a female? Can I just go back to the choleric? The same guy with the one hand in the pocket. The only difference is feet together, hand on the hip. Pop, 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 pop. Okay. I know I don't do the woman thing very well. Okay. It's hard for a real man to do that. I'm sorry. Okay. But when you get to the sanguine, it's the same thing. But the only difference is hands and talk. They talk incessantly. The arms go. You can watch in the coffee shop. I mean, the rugby's on, and two high eyes having coffee. I want to tell you, it's difficult to watch the rugby because you're watching the show on this side. Then what about the next person? Well, that is the S. How do they stand? Well, they stand one hand in the pocket maybe two hands in the pocket, but they're leaning backwards. And they normally like to lean against a wall or something. You'll find them leaning against the wall. They're relaxed. Saturday afternoon, beer in the hand. Nice, comfortable, relaxed. But there's something that is what a trademark. Do you know what it is? They smile a lot. They can't help it. When they see you, it's like, because they are really genuine people. They are friendly people. So when they walk in the mall, now imagine the scene. You've got this lady that is now one of these, and she's got a very jealous husband. Now you just walk and you just turn and you just see somebody look smile and you just smile. You're smiling. No, I didn't. I promise you, I didn't. Okay? Because it's natural. You stop at the traffic light. It's natural. You turn left and you smile. It doesn't mean anything intentional. It's just who you are. You're a friendly person. And people love just to be with you because you're so soft and gentle. Then, obviously, we have the high melancholies. Now, look at this lady here in front. Hand on the chin. Because you see, when they do this, they're sort of checking you out. Oh, Mr. Ferguson over there, the same thing. Folded, arms folded, checking you out. That's really language that says, listen, I'm checking you out. So body language, normally when I start speaking, I can see you've all have changed body positions, okay? All right, you're feeling a bit uncomfortable. But it's the way that you sit. It gives away who you are, the way you dress. And by the way, I mean, how do you rest, for heaven's sake? Let's go back to that Kaleri guy. You get onto a holiday, you get to Bushman's Neck, you say, oh, I've worked so hard, I need to rest. And you lie back and you rest. And after a while, you start getting bored. And you jump up, let's go play putt-putt. And the woman says, oh, we've just arrived. Oh, okay, sorry, all right. You sit down again. After a while, let's go for a walk. Because you see, you have to understand, a choleric rests by doing something. They can't do nothing. It's a waste of time to do nothing. They will never come to a meeting 15 minutes before the time because they could have fitted so much else in. But there's this little thing that says, I can race to get there. If I'm there 3 minutes before the time, I made it. And it doesn't matter how they raced. The moment they walk in, they're in control. I mean, you don't have to know I raced, but I'm here on time. Because they pride themselves on just making it. Okay? What do eyes do, or sanguines, to rest? People, come braai at my home. Soccer is on, the rugby's on. Now come to my home this Saturday. They love having people around them. And it drives, obviously, the partner crazy who wants to be private and doesn't want people. So there's always this tug of war in terms of what do you want. And the S's, how do they rest? Oh, ladies, I can just see you. Nice bath, lying back, enjoying yourself. That's you. But now, if the man is a high choleric, he normally has a high physical drive, we say. So she's lying in the bath, he walks past, oh, she's naked, baby. Okay? And she goes, no, I'm resting. I'm resting, please. Okay, and so therefore you have to get communication that says, stay out of this, I'm resting. But the last person, your melancholy, how do they rest? This may be the most important thing I can tell you. This is normally a guy that's very analytical and is very precise and wants to do things in a very orderly, specific way. Ask their teenagers, fun to live with. But how do they rest? By being alone. Now that is crazy, man. Have you ever heard of the 5 love languages? And that is that when the high C wants you to love them, they want you to spend quality time with them. When they want to rest, they want to be alone. They don't understand themselves. Best you start trying to understand them. So that I can say briefly to you is, when you look at the disc analysis, is you need to take that and turn it into something that makes you work better. And with your colleagues. Obviously, 2 cholerics in a pen, well, that ain't fun sometimes. That's challenging. That's rather challenging. Get a lot of eyes together. Oh, man, they can talk. They can sell ice to an Eskimo. Easy. They should be your salespeople. I normally find that a lot of cholerics are leaders in management positions. I find that your high sanguines are your marketing people, your salespeople, and they're brilliant at it. In fact, nobody can do this as well as they do. I find a lot of your S's or your phlegmatics, they're in your service capacity. The nurses, they love to serve. The teachers, they just love to be of service to other people. And your high melancholies, well, we need advocates, we need bookkeepers. That's where they come from. So that's a disc analysis. Another way that I say the W is who are you, is maybe to understand what is your strength. Now, every person has got strengths. I want you to think for 1 second. If anybody had to describe you and say, what is your highest strength? What will your answer be to yourself? Can I ask that you just turn to the person next to you and tell them, my strength is? Take a moment, go for it. Okay, I can clearly see that the guys on the right, you got it. The guys on the left, you're not there yet. Okay, so say to the guy on the left, you'll get it sometime. So we're going to get there. But what it really is about is that everybody has strengths. And if you don't know your zone, if you don't know what you're good at, if you don't know what you bring to the party, you really can't make that difference. So I want to say to you, make sure that you find out what your strengths are. Here's a good way to find out. Ask your best friend, ask your wife, ask your children, ask your boss, and ask yourself. Those are the 5 people that you will consult to say, what are my top 3 strengths? And if you can't go, my strengths are 1, 2, 3, then you don't know your strengths. So it's time to find out. It's very easy. You just do the Strength Finders test, and the job is done. Apart from the strengths, there's something else. Did you know that you can have people with exactly the same, call it behavioral style, which we call the DISC analysis, the same style sitting around the table, but the moment they're in agreement or disagreement, it sometimes goes around in circles and circles, and there's a reason for that. It's because there's something called the lemon leadership type. That means that when you and I lead people, we all lead in a different way. That's very important to know. Because you see, lemon stands for something. Can you imagine? Have you ever seen that clip with a little baby that they give a piece of lemon? I mean, I saw the reverse though. I mean, the first time I saw this baby goes, that's terrible. But my little grandchild, Michaela, we gave her some this weekend, and she was jiving it. So man, she's got a great career ahead of her. There are no obstacles going to get in her way. I can see it. Takes after her father, I think. But a lemon, what happens when you squeeze the lemon? What happens when you turn the lemon? And what do lemons do when they communicate? So I'm going to give you a little tip into understanding lemon. Just the tip of the iceberg. The L stands for luminary. That's the person that really has the ability to look 30 years ahead. Everybody's got vision. The L-E-M-O-N, all 5 of these leadership types have got vision, but the luminary is the person who looks at the principle of life. Let's say there's a crack in the 23rd floor in a building. Everybody goes up to the 23rd floor and goes, what's going to happen? Where's the luminary? He's in the basement because he knows the crack was caused from the basement, the foundation. Of course, he studies the principle. So he's driven by ideas. Always great new ideas coming up. And always will ask, why? Why are we doing this? Why? And they can get a bit irritating with all their questions. Then we have the E's, the entrepreneurs. Now, we understand an entrepreneur. That's the guy that makes the deal. I mean, he looks just for the opportunity and goes for it and asks the question, why not? Why can't we do this? When are we going to do this deal? So they're always into it. Then the M. Oh, I need to stand straight when I do this. The M's. I want to hear, von, click. The managers do things in specific ways. They like their policies and their procedures. They will always say, bring me the policy. What does it say? And the luminary goes, what file? Where is it? They can't even find it. But the manager will know, what is the policy, what's the procedure? And they say, stop, great idea, how? Give me some detail. This is pie in the sky. An entrepreneur will say, come on, man, let's just go for this. Good for us. And the manager will say, no, no, no. They're a little bit, sometimes they seem to be party poopers, but you know what? You need them. We need them. Because they bring balance, because they help us say, stop. We need the facts and the details to this. That's what the manager will do. Then the O, the organizer. The organizer is Mr. and Mrs. Make It Happen. They can organize people, they can organize themselves, they get things done. In fact, they're driven by tasks. Somebody has to do the job. Not just the talkers, the doers. And they don't care how they do it, but they do it quickly and they get it done. So they will always ask, what must be done? And they will find a solution. They'll organize it into it. And then lastly, you'll find the networkers. So the networker is the next person that says, oh, I need to be connected. They know who's who in the zoo. They know all the gossip in the office because the connectors connect. And by the way, their cell phones, man, they got so many people in their database. In fact, you don't have to buy databases. Just get hold of your networkers and you have 3,000 numbers like that because they know who's who. Because the moment you ask them, let's say the basic question, is it done? You know what? The luminary will say, it must have been thought through. Somebody must have an idea how to manage this. The entrepreneur, when he says it's done, he says, for sure, grab the deal, let's go. Doesn't even think of the consequences. Because remember, an entrepreneur never fails. You know what FAIL stands for? First attempt in learning. You never fail. All right. So there's some entrepreneurs here, but I see you smiling at yourself. Good for you. And then basically, the managers, you ask them, is it done? 110%. If they say it's done, they mean it's done. If this was in Brazil, it would have been very rude. South Africa, this is cool. All right. I'll tell you afterwards what this means in Brazil. And what about the organizer? Ask them it's done. Well, you know, they've done it so quickly, it's actually 70% done. That's how they do it, because they do it quickly. And the network, is it done? I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who can get the job done. So yes, it's pretty much done. So that's just a peep in terms of your lemon leadership type. That's how you will find out. Now I will find out. How do we lead ourselves? So who are you? The W of wealth. When it comes to wealth and wealth creation, you can be rich, as we said, but wealth goes beyond. Wealth goes to your family. I mean, what does it help to build this empire, have all the money, buy property? We're in a property setting tonight, but your family is falling apart. Then you're not wealthy, sir. Then you're not wealthy at all. Because I've never heard a guy that said, I want to spend more time in the office on his deathbed, but I wish I spent more time with my children and my grandchildren. I want to tell you, for those of you who don't have grandchildren, your whole life changes, okay? All of a sudden, your wallet changes. There's pictures of your grandkids. And all of a sudden, men my age, you're not shy anymore. You whip it out. Hey, check my grandkids. It's very easy because you want to boast. It's part of your family. So wealth is what you're going to do with it. Let's talk about the E. The E stands for enterprising. I really believe that part of wealth is very important. Because to be enterprising, we've discovered that it's the people that work out a way to create passive income. Those are the guys who actually are successful. Now, you know the Triarch way. It actually says, get property, more property, use the same property to finance more property. Paraphrased. That's really what it is. But what it does say is this, using your property to go ahead. But it also says this, that in a period of time, it's going to create passive income for you. That means your properties will grow by themselves, because if you look over the period of past 20 years, it is the most profitable growing entity that's always been stable. Yes, we all go through credit crunches. Yes, we all go through a bad time with finances. But measure over a 20-year period, there is nothing as safe, as secure, with the yielding that you get, that property. So, make sure that you become enterprising in creating your wealth. You have to step out. With that goes risk-taking. Now, it all depends on your kind of profile. I can tell you now, earlier when I spoke about the cholerics, well, they are reasonably high risk-takers. If I speak about the sanguines, they're very high risk-takers. But, you know, they win, they lose. They win, they lose. But normally, they make it up. Look at Trump. Great money, lost it, built it up again. Branson, lost it, built it up, they get back. They really are resilient. They bounce back, as we say. So what about the other two? Well, they're more risk-averse. You find that your sanguine, they are risk-takers, but here, your phlegmatics and your melancholies, or what we say, your supportive people, or your conscientious people, they don't like taking risks. They don't like playing with their money that much, unless if the communication will convince them this is a sure deal. You cannot make a mistake. So what did we learn? Is that to be enterprising, you need to know, back to the W, who are you? And not only who are you, but who are your customers? Because I can guarantee you that those people shop in a different way. You sell to them in a different way. So find out firstly who you are, and then when it comes to enterprising, find out who your customers are. So you'll know how to actually serve them and sell to them. This is not a trick. It's called customer service. Service excellence, in fact. If you want to bring service excellence to the table, that's the one thing you want to do. So we have the W for who are you. We have the E for being enterprising. The A. The A can only stand for one thing. Attitude. Okay? Let's test that. In this room. Who of you can sing? Hands up, please. Oh, no. Can I just have the game? I didn't say who of you can sing well. I said who can sing? Can I see again? Of course everybody can sing. But it's just all about attitude. Because we get so scared to put ourselves on the line there that we are so scared to actually take the risk. I mean, haven't you dreamt? Some of you stand in that shower, Kalula.com. Sorry, my friend. But that's what they do. You test your voice. I don't care what that sounded like. Do you? I don't care if you don't like it. But at least you do something. Yeah, I can see some of you getting that little smile that says, man, maybe I should try that stuff sometime. Just warn your wife. Okay. She might think you're having a fight with the soap or something. But yeah, attitude. John Maxwell says, attitude determines your altitude. So go for it. It's nothing like holding back. It's saying to yourself, I can do this. You really want to say to yourself, it's just getting out of the boat and walking. Some guys are still sitting in the boat giving directions. Some guys are out walking. They're trying. Some of you will understand what that means. So, you really have to say to yourself, do I have the attitude? An attitude that says, I don't care what happens, I am going to make this work. Like the one little froggy, the one that made it, unfortunately had to be deaf to make it, because he was not going to be pulled down by the rest. We call that the crabs in the bucket syndrome. Ever heard of that? If you know fishermen, it's the only bunch of animals that are safe. You can put them in a bucket, they will never get out of the bucket. Because the moment you get somebody that's brave, an entrepreneur that says, oh, let's get out of here, there must be a world out there. The moment they get to the top of the bucket, the others go, oh, no, you don't. They pull you back down. You know people like that? I call them Electrolux people. You know, when you see them, they just suck the life out of you. I mean, you want to run a mile from those people. You know them? Okay, I've seen you in the supermarket. You're shopping in the supermarket and you see one of those Electrolux people, you sort of, we all do that, don't we? It's because they're Electrolux people. They suck the life out of you, man. All right, but you'll learn that we can actually learn to work with them. It's not that difficult. So you and I need to say, what is our attitude to life? I want to tell you, it depends on you. But sometimes with attitude, you and I can get a very wrong belief of who we are. I mean, I believe I can fly. Isn't that true? Man, you just believe you can fly. Oh, man, sing that song, you can fly. Guess what? A pig cannot fly. And I don't care how long they make the runway, the pig still cannot fly. Isn't that true? So in that attitude of believing your own life, you better believe things that are real. If you believe that you're a male, you're going to fall pregnant, it ain't going to happen. You're not built that way. All right? It never is going to work that way. It's life. It's what is your attitude? Do you have a winning attitude, an attitude that says, I can do this? I've seen guys that get beaten down but get up. And that is what Lombardi said. It's not about getting knocked down. It's about the amount of times that you get up. That's what it's about. And you see, Emerson said this. He says, life is not about what lies behind you. It's not about what's ahead. But what matters is what's inside of you. Because if you have inside of you that attitude that says, get up. Get up. There are great movies that will show you sometimes. The people that you've given up on, all they need is encouragement. You can throw money at them. It will temporarily help them. But give them love. Give them support. Equip them. Give them sustainability. And that's why entrepreneurs need to play a role in this country, South Africa, is to help people find a way to sustain themselves. And there are people who want to make it badly. But we need to educate them as entrepreneurs. But it's your attitude that makes the difference. So what is your attitude about it? Can you do it? Make it happen. Your attitude will determine your altitude. So we've had, for wealth, who are you? Be enterprising. Have a right attitude. Next letter. L. L stands for leverage. Leverage. It's very much the question of what do you have in your hand? If I was Tiger Woods, standing with the number 1 driver, if I had to look at that driver, how much is that worth in my hand? A normal driver. $3,000? But the moment I'm Tiger Woods, the same club becomes 3 million, or a deadly weapon for a wife. But okay. Some of you got that. So basically, it depends on whose hand it is. What about a tennis racket? Now, you and I can go to a shop, buy a tennis racket, and maybe it's worth 1,000 or 2,000 rand. But in the hands of Sabrina Williams, we're talking a different story. Because the very same racket now brings in a lot of money. So when it comes to leverage, I want to ask you, what have you got in your hand? What have you been given? Well, I believe Triarch is one of the things that's been given to you. It is a way to take you to financial independence. But you have to be patient, you have to be shrewd, and you have to work at it. I've never seen money fall out of the sky. Have you ever told your trees, money doesn't grow on trees? Yeah, that's right. And we've got 4 healthy children that have all left the home. But I remember the time when they were 16, 15, 14, 13. They had to hear from me quite often, money doesn't grow on trees. Because it's reality. Tough times. So when it comes to leverage, and I really want to challenge you, have you thought it through? What do you have that makes you unique? Every single person's got something. I mean, when you go to a diamond store, they all shine. They might be different grades, but they all shine. But what's more important is not the shine, it's the value. Every single diamond has value to offer, and that is you. You have leverage. You have something inside you. You have something inside you that's going to mean something to someone else. But sometimes you just need a master miner to take that piece of coal that you have and break off those edges. And I want to tell you, that is painful. But if that person can see the diamond in you, they will believe in you. And I want to tell you that is possible. Then you get to the next stage, where now you start buffing. But you know what buffing does? It brings friction. It brings heat. It's uncomfortable. But you start seeing that this is a gemstone. And if you trust that person, but trust comes into this, you start then polishing. And the brilliance of that diamond comes out. And I want to tell you, there's a diamond in each and every person sitting here. All it needs is for you to start having the right attitude so that you can say, what is my leverage? What have I received that is different? Every person's got a gift. You just have to find it and embrace it. Remember I said earlier, a gift is not a gift until you've taken it and done something with it. That's a gift. So are you using your leverage? Up to you. Who are you? Enterprising, attitude, leverage, T, tune in. Man, if there's something about wealth, people with true wealth, wealth in their finances, wealth in their emotions, wealth in their family, wealth in all areas of their life. Maslow speaks of 5 areas: socially, physically, emotionally, spiritually, physically. Those are the 5 areas of need that you and I will have, where we actually want to say, are we equipped? But you want to say, are you tuned in? It's like having a GPS. I mean, you come and you travel. I travel by putting my GPS, a global positioning system. And by the way, ladies, you don't have to buy a GPS. There's something on the inside of you, you just know. I mean, if he's in a coffee shop where he shouldn't be, I know exactly where he is. I mean, you've got this global positioning system. You just know where we are. So guys, we need the GPSs to get us on the right track, to lead us to where we want to be when we travel. But the ladies, they got this built-in GPS. And by the way, if you're his wife, can I just quickly help you to understand, don't be his wife only, because realize that sometimes you become his knife. Ouch. But if you have to be a knife, there's one of 2 choices. You can choose to be a butcher knife or a butter knife. So ladies, don't make it so hard on us, all right? We need you. I mean, behind every man is a better woman. Isn't that true? All of us. Women are great. And it's all part of the career. But they tuned in. So the person that is wealthy has got this global GPS that says, I've got a moral integrity that takes me places. That's how you find where you go. That's how you get there, by being tuned in. And then lastly, after the T, H, for hope. I believe people with wealth have hope, and they know how to give hope. They say it doesn't matter where you live, you can make a difference. And I want to tell you that you can make a difference. You just have to decide to get up and do something about it. I know that when you open the newspapers, it speaks about crime. But you know what? This is one of the most beautiful countries in the world. You go and travel. We've got 5 or 6 countries in one. I mean, you go to France, you'll hear, Viva la France. I know that what we've done is we've sort of started, we just start with Viva! And that's where we stop. Okay, all right. It's also saying that we stand for something. But I want to say to you, we've got a fantastic country. So what if things go wrong? It's how do you handle it? Do you have a hope that with what we do in this country that we can make a difference? Because you see, it starts with you. It starts with you, every single person. You have to do something about your life. Have a hope that makes a difference. I want to tell you a story. there was this guy that was busy setting up in a training studio, and the training studio was just behind a triple garage. And as a couple and their babies came back home, they heard a noise, they heard a ramble. And the wife looked through the door and said, "Help! This family is being hijacked, help!" And I can tell you what happened. That person looked for something, looked around, and all the person could find was 2 hammers. Ran out, and in the process got shot. But you see, that person was me. And I can tell you one thing, what I've learned out of that. You don't go to a gunfight with 2 hammers. It doesn't work. All right? Choose your weapons. But all I can say to you is that here I am. It's 2 years later, in this very own country, and by grace, I'm alive today. And I want to tell you, the filter on my eyes have changed. I used to complain. I used to say, "Well, poor me, woe is me." But I tell you, when you get a second chance in life, and you wake up in that hospital and you realize, wow, carpe diem, seize the day. You realize there's a life to be lived. I want to tell you, don't wait until you get shot, until you actually grab onto life. Life is there to be lived. Because you see what? You and I have been given a platform of wealth. We have so much wealth in this country. We have wealth of relationships. We have wealth of family. We have wealth of institution. We have wealth of property. It's what do you do with what you've been given? So ladies and gentlemen, if I go into that balance beam, do you want to be rich? Do you want to have wealth? What would you choose? Thank you very much.